Right then, we'll continue on our journey. We're on day 7. It's plan where we need to go. Right, I think we're going... Yep, yeah. We negotiate. I think we'll go tomorrow. Yep, so right, now if we... Go back there. Sleep. Sleep the night in Odessa. With what remained of the day, I engaged another guest in conversation to learn what I could. Hearing from him, the quickest way for St. Petersburg is through Moscow. A most interesting snippet. Later that evening, I returned to my room in time to see someone leaving. I called to them, but without turning, they began to run. "Stop, thief!" I called. The figure only disappeared. I returned to the room, but believed to find nothing from our belongings had appeared to be missing. We had been lucky, this time at least. Wow. Right. Freight train to Moscow. We boarded the freight train after reaching a quick accord with its driver, and he threw shut the heavy metal doors. The train jolted away down the track. We were in Russia! Phileas Fogg attempts around the world adventure. We passed time in conversation, which in fact meant I asked questions only to receive few or no answers from my master. Why were we here? Where were we going? Were we on the run? Why 80 days? Why not 75? 93? If there were answers, Monsieur Fogg acted as though I should already know them, and I began to wonder if I understood. In truth, better than I believed, perhaps our journey truly had the simplest motivations, a mere stretching of the legs. The train rolled through the endless pine forests, passing under the occasional structure. A farmstead here, a water tower, an airship dock. There was so much space that it hurt my eyes to look. The train rolled into the Russian borderlands, and I took the opportunity to sleep a little longer. Since we would soon be back in this civilization, I was required to continue my duties as a valet, which on this train journey had mostly eschewed for lack of hot water or a steam press. Moscow would be a busy place, I knew, and one where we could only go yet further into Russia. It was not the capital of the Tsarist Empire, but it was one of its central hubs and most prized jewels. Let's go to the market. Where we will pick up feline boots. Yeah, gloves. Climate. Do we take an extra suitcase? No, let's continue. Explore. Moscow was not a comfortable city for a Frenchman. A local composer had just written a piece people were calling the 1812 Overture, commemorating the Russian victory over Napoleon's invading Grande Army that fateful year. Patriotic passions were at a fever pitch. But I did not let that stop me from exploring the city, though I resolved to remaining mute and objectionable should I encounter. I paid for a coach, admired the coachman's uniform, a blue kaftan, with fitted cap. The coach was a new style, horseless, powered by a rumbling coal-fed steam engine. I ventured away from the wide boulevards, and I let... Okay. I can't even say that word. My mind's gone blank. Eclectic architecture of the Svakazaya street towards the outdoor markets of the Staraya Square. They were full of apple-cheeked young boys and wrapped up in peasant women. I found myself drawn to one particular store, which seemed plain on the surface, but had a variety of special merchandise. For the discerning customer, included a magnificent bottle of Chateau de Queum, 1860. I purchased it for £50, expensive, but sure to be worth the price in such a rich Bordeaux. As the bells of the nearby church chimed the hour, I returned to my master, content with my brief view of the Tsar's capital city. Right, I think we should go to... maybe that. 5 days? Ooh. Do we have stuff we can sell? Where do we need to go? $16 days, 17 days. Worth 4,800 in St. Petersburg. Should we take a... Right, we'll do that tomorrow. Go up to St. Petersburg. Worth that much in Vienna. Oh, I can see a problem coming up. Potentially. I have so much stuff. So much stuff. Time to pass the night. As night fell, I followed my master's every service, providing with clipped moustaches. Right, St. Petersburg. Embark. Extra space. Extra space. Oh. I guess we just get rid of the wine. It's not going to Vienna. Right. Right, let's go. Please. Embark. The Tsar's Finger. The line from Moscow to St. Petersburg was affectionately known as the Tsar's Finger, and ran perfectly straight apart from the bend into the city of Novgorod. The story told is not worth repeating, and despite the force to hear it from the guard myself, I will now inflict it on my readers. Verse. Greetings, St. Petersburg. Minsk. The train was comfortable. I spent my first day aboard talking to other passengers, hoping to find options for the next leg, discovering a nervous Muscovite artist, as well as going to Pyongyang. The Trans-Manchurian Railway runs from Kamska directly to Beijing. There's one more curious incident that day. I visited a compartment at one point to find it unlocked. Remembering the intruder I had seen previously, I immediately checked our bags to discover my in fact one possession richer. Someone had dropped or slipped a silver-plated cigarette case into our bag. I was very interested, finding an inscription on one side, TH, but I was not clear what it might mean. We settled down for the night. Let's converse. we need to go. The second day aboard the train was quieter. There seemed to be visible lessening of tension as we were approaching the border to Russia. I was quite relieved to be leaving that cold, bear-infested country behind, shortly after arriving the grand imposing surrounds of St. Petersburg station. Right, let's go to the markets to sell the absinthe. Take that. Smearenberg. Let's go on the marketing. Oh, the music box, 2,800 here. That's nice. Oh. And we'll also take the hammer. That's 5 cases again. We'll sell the car engine oil. And then we will explore. Smearenberg. Nevsky Prospect, immortalized by Dostoevsky and Gogol, would have been unrecognizable to those venerable rioters. Imperial soldiers filled the streets with their Glanzine Kondunki, enormous black iron hydraulic walkers. We stayed boldly and decisively away, and saw little more than the occasional flying fragment of stone, bashed out of some wall somewhere. Go to onwards. Smearenberg, maybe? Should we go back to Moscow? Or should we venture on up to Smearenberg? Kind of want to go this way, but going the wrong way. Go north. When we go after that, though, that's the question. Alright, let's go for Smearenberg then. See what this brings us. Let's pass the night here, in St. Petersburg. Before retiring, I spent a while talking to Telia to learn what I could, but gathered little Monsieur Fogg would be interested in. Right, now let's depart to Smearenberg. We have 5. We have 5. Oh, yeah, I just need to move the hammer across. Right, embark. The Pulmore hunting balloon. I arranged transport first, Monsieur, for excuse compare. But where are we heading, Monsieur? We are going north. Very north. How far north? I asked suspiciously. Smearenberg, he said, showing me the location marked on the almanac. Indeed, it was very north, perhaps even very, very north. But shouldn't we not be heading east? Monsieur looked up at me, exclaiming, sometimes, Hospital, the best way to untie a knot is to not untie it at all. Sometimes one must simply slice through it. I did not dare ask. I fancied he had looked into the long northern night, and the night had looked back into him. Thus we departed on a Pulmore hunting balloon on an expedition to Smearenberg. The captain of our balloon was a dark brown-haired woman by the name of Yana Strostina. What sort of settlement is Smearenberg? I asked, imagining ice-whipped. Testament to nature's glory. The captain heaved a sigh. The sort where you need to keep your wits about you, It's a lawless place, and your master seems a gentle fellows. We have men of the world, I replied, with a little shrug. Is it so? Captain Stettiner smiled at me. Don't get drunk, and try to stay our fights, and I'm sure you'll be fine. With that, she was summoned to the navigation room, and I retired to our cabin to rest. Okay. Right, let's go. When we woke up the next morning, our cabin door was locked. I turned to my master in horror. We've been locked in. Quite so, he said dryly. We simply have to wait until we see what the good captain requires of us. You think it was the captain? By the time the door handle rattled, it was late afternoon, and my poor stomach was groaning and rumbling. My master's also. And I gave him a look of sympathy, which he resolutely ignored. The door opened and revealed Captain Stettiner. Gentlemen, she said, evenly, as though she was not holding us prisoner. Captain, replied with heavy irony. I was pleased to see her wince a little. I did not know I played the blackguard with you, she said. You'll have your explanation tomorrow. Will you lock us until then? I asked in horror. Being locked alone with my master, it is too cruel. You'll survive, she said simply. With that, she closed the cabin door behind her, and I heard the lock slide shut. Oh dear, what's that going to happen to us? I confess by the time Captain Stettiner returned to release us, I had formed the most outlandish, optimistic theories. In particular, we had changed course and were now flying to the south to warmer climes. Then the door opened and broke my reverie. Gentlemen, you are free, the captain with dramatic flourish. We are far enough from St. Petersburg that you can do no harm. You think we would do harm? The star has a long reach, and her only I trust no one. It is a family matter. You don't know Mr. Chinggis, I reported hotly. Image pictures, and the captain looked surprised. I even fancy Monsieur had looked away with some embarrassment at my outburst. I will show you. He took us down to the cargo with 200 makeshift cots. Who are they? I asked. Upon my pale faces and banished limbs. You may notice the right since St. Petersburg, the captain asked, beside the younger of the two. I ran away, I confess. Smart. My niece is not so smart. Would she be alright? The captain opened my mouth and croaking murmur rested at her reply. I am very smart, auntie. I passed all my examinations. And where did that get you? The captain retorted. A factory job. The injured woman winced and sat up on her elbows, regarding me curiously. I am Comrade Ravka. Passepartout. At your service. Are you associating with foreigners now, auntie? How rebellious of you. Be quiet, girl, the captain grumbled fondly. I looked over at the other woman. Was she also in the riots? Captain Stettiner been darkened. That is Staff Captain Akhmatova, the Tsar's Imperial Army. I thought we were fleeing the Imperial Army. She turned on the other soldiers. More to her aunt than to me. I can't leave him there. You should rest. Captain Stettiner dragged me onto the cargo hold by the elbow. Her weariness was so great I found myself unwilling to do anything but walk in silence beside her. To my surprise, Comrade Ravka was at breakfast and called me over to her side. "You're looking better," I said, lying on only a little. "Flatterer," Ravka laughed. She gestured at the stiff-backed woman sitting to her left. "Have you met Staff Captain Akhmatova?" "Staff Captain?" I threw her a jaunty salute. Akhmatova cleared her throat. "I'm no longer a Staros officer," she said, mildly, turning her gaze to Ravka. "You should call me Daria." "Daria," Ravka murmured. I was quite forgotten in the tension that crackled between the two. They scarcely noticed when I murmured my goodbye and slipped away. We were almost in Smirenberg. Was? You barely begun. Captain Strastina summoned me to her table at lunchtime. She poked her herring morously. "They are holding hands," she announced in dark tones. "Who?" I asked, in dulcet tones, fearing it. "My sweet Polonise and that woman," I replied. "Do you think I care about that? She's a Muscovite. She probably thinks that she's better than all us provincials, with her sophisticated attitudes." "She seems to like your niece quite well," I shrugged. "Oh, why shouldn't she? My niece is every bit as good as she is." The captain bit into her herring head vengefully. "They seem happy together. What do you think will happen when we get to Smirenberg, eh?" Captain Strastina pinched the bridge of her nose. "The nearest thing to a local theatre is a bar-room brawl." "I'm sure the staff captain will adjust," I remarked. "Stranger things have happened." "I can't wait to tell my sister." The captain looked a little bit more cheerful at the prospect. "She's going to pickle Ravka well and feed her to the sled dogs." She began to chuckle, and still chuckling when she tethered the whaling port of Smirenberg a few hours later. Do you have anything to say here? We'll sell this. We'll sell the hammer. And then we shall buy this, and the Brazilian stuff. Right, then we shall explore onwards. Smirenberg. The stench of Smirenberg was all-pervading. It mingled with coal smog and thick plumes of steam to form a foul miasma that hung thick, grim, and unaccountably oily over the settlement. I took a few deep breaths, trying to accustom myself to the terrible odour. As quickly as possible. "It's Wales," a nearby fellow pitched sagely in Finnish-accented English. "Of course, Wales," I snorted. "Why not? It makes as much sense as anything else." The man pointed at several copper kettles nearby. There were set of brick ovens belching black smoke from chimneys. They rendered the whale blubber there, for oil and fuel. You'll become accustomed to the smell. I introduced myself to him, and though he shook my hand, he shrugged as he did so, as though our meeting was little of note. "I am Viti Jorkanin. You don't look like seal hunters or smugglers, so what are you doing here?" "We're going round the world," I said, perhaps with less enthusiasm than was warranted. "Oh, you're adventurers," he pronounced with a last generous smearing of disdain. "I'd hoped perhaps you were geologists." "Do you often hope for geologists?" I asked curiously. "Seems slim hope in these parts." It is the Arctic," he shrugged. After hunters and adventurers, scientists are the most common breed." "Are you a local tour guide, then?" I asked, with a grace. He smiled. "I am an artificer." He smiled and pointed at his collar, where copperlity pin gleamed, metallic, against his face. "I am an artificer." I introduced myself and master politely. It was never a good idea to cross an artificer. "I'm here on an expedition to the North Pole, as it happens," he said casually enough. "You don't say," he remarked. "My good fellow, let me buy you whatever drink it is they have here." I waited to see Monsieur Jonkin's response, but mainly both the emails are gone, away down the street, plotting like rogues. Oh, man. We passed the night here. I was masterless in a cold city. I decided Ravka and Daya for a distraction, but found Ravka alone at a rate. Daya has gone out, Ravka told me, to learn to trade. But that is wonderful news. What does a boyish girl like her know about trade, I ask you? Perhaps that's why she's out learning. Oh, she's going to learn a trade and meet some horribly bearded Danish sea captain and run off to have 100 fat children and be miserable. She'll go bold. I do not think have children makes you bold. I thought the mammon's dark curling hair and smiled. I'm quite sure it does not. You don't understand at all, she sighed deeply. I'm happy, Passepartout. It makes me suspicious. It seems unlikely to find happiness here with someone like her. For someone like me. The best things in life, unlikely, I think. I cast an encouraging smile. I never imagined embarking on such a journey as I have taken, and yet here we are. I think it's easy to throw firebombs at the sorry soldiers than to be in love. Yes, she turned away. It is worth, mademoiselle. You should take my word for it, on matters of the heart. I swept her exaggerating bow and added, I'm a Frenchman, after all. She laughed and looked a little comforted. I took my leave and a little more cheered myself. Perhaps all this talk about the pole would come to nothing. These were my thoughts at the moment. My master returned, cheeks reddened with an unusual flush. Passepartout, he announced. We are going to the North Pole. I will prepare some hot water, I replied. After all, what else was there to say? Onwards to the North Pole then. Well, we have to get rid of some stuff as well, apparently. So we'll get rid of the monkey wrench. Dusty road. The fur-lined boots. Cold climate. Don't think we're going there anymore. Shift that over to there. Take that. And then get rid of that. Right, North Pole. Here we come. The Ice Walker. I confess that I gaped in simpleton when Monsieur Jonkin showed us the enormous contraption that would lead us to a polar expedition. We call it the Ice Walker. What a practical name, I said faintly. Monsieur Jonkin conveyed a slight smile. With one graceful mitt in hand, the machine was vaguely boat-shaped, with a pilot's bubble of reinforced glass at the front. Thick fur covered the joints and fuel lines, boilers, to insulate them from the cold. The hull itself resembled that of a cock, used by the Pommer people for Arctic hunting. Round the lines an additional layer of flushed skin planking, a protective false keel. It looks like a death trap, I remarked, already feeling rather troubled by this turn of adventures. Monsieur Fuckler cleared his throat behind me. Let's go aboard, Passepartout. His eyes looked overly bright. The early signs of sun blindness, most likely or blindness from a different kind, perhaps. We settled in and heard 2 shot whistles that signalled our departure. With the rumble of boilers and the crack of ice, we began our expedition to uncharted peril of the Arctic. I could not help but wonder whether we would find the North Pole at all, at long last, and perhaps even make history. I turned the oil lamps down low and climbed into bed. But it was a long time before I fell asleep. We stopped at the nearby bay of Virgo Hammer to add a large tethered balloon to our convoy. To be used for meteorological readings and short explorations, a lone artificer named manned the small hangar that was shut up from the icy beach, glared at the ice walker. What a vulgar contraption. I quite agree with you, do you? He gave me a praising look. I am Salomon Auguste Andre. I propose we take my balloon all the way to the North Pole, but the council requisitioned it as mere support and ordered me to stay behind. Supporting the expedition is no minor thing. I'm sure we need all the support we can receive. You need leaders with spine and vision, Monsieur Andre corrected, and the council have shown themselves to be lacking in both. Perhaps you should stay away, I suggested, wondering if this man might be used to us. He seized my hands with gratitude and formulated a plan in hasty murmurs. I would feign a violent illness in the galley, and when the crew was distracted, Monsieur actually would stay away in the balloon. I timed my little episode of perception and entirely disrupted the artificer's patrols. Monsieur Andre slipped on board in the confusion, even managing to wave a little handkerchief down at me from his lofty perch. I woke early and paid a quick visit to Monsieur Andre up in his balloon. Ah, Passepartout, I can never repay you for this. Do you need food, other help? My balloon is well supplied. I made sure of that before the others came to take her. If you all die, I will escape. Do not worry yourself on my account. I was somewhat unnerved by that, and so was happy when we agreed that we would not return again. Unless it was dire emergency, I slipped away. Thoughts filled with premonitions of bears at breakfast. Once I jokingly introduced our fellow expeditioners, I paid little attention to my master, who seemed to me never been happier here. Sat between the hunters and artificers, travelling at high speed across the uncharted continent, while still being able to drink his tea at correct temperature. Right, continuing on. I cannot wish for a superior valet. Halfway through the afternoon we fetched up an ivy cliff far too sheer to be essayed by us with skis. Was this anticipated? I asked, peering a thick glass. Nothing on this route is anticipated, Monsieur Jokin. No one has ever been this way. With that he pulled a lever of gleaming wood with a lunchtime mechanical hiss, and the engines hummed at a higher pitch. I studied my master, who looked perhaps a little more grimly calm than usual. At our abrupt motion, I turned to my grip on the near right handhold. Out of the window I saw the mechanical seas bend and articulate. They must have hidden joints, forming themselves to sharp claws which dug into the pack of ice. We scuffed up the ice face. There is no other word to describe it. The ice walker swung and hissed and spewed steam in great shrieking gouts, but we made it up in less than 5 minutes. Next time, Monsieur Jokin put in jovially, buckle up. I was, in the end, grateful for the artificer's foresight in designing such a contraption. Now that the gut-wrenching terror had passed, it did seem quite a jolly adventure. On day 22, the coast of the Spitzenberg disappeared in our wake, There is no land between here and the pole. None that had been discovered. It was entirely possible there was nothing but frozen ocean and the endless sky ahead. We might have well skied across the moon, though if we had, at least we would have known the people looking up at us. Out here, we were vanished entirely, and moved as ghosts across the wastes. Behind us the little clustered lights of civilization only relieved. The whiteness lies ahead. I was heating Monsieur's shaving water to a precise degree when I heard a long trumpet blast and the sound of many boots thumping the corridor. I abandoned my preparations and went to look, ignoring my master's remonstrative sigh. It could well be an emergency. I followed the sounds of boots so brightly lit room very aft of the ship. Monsieur Mizensky was shouting commands in a group of pommel hunters. Past it, declared my direction. What are you doing here, civilian? What is going on? I demanded. Monsieur Mizensky glanced at a panel of furiously blinking lights inside. It is too late. He pushed me aside and sealed the bulkhead behind me with a grunt. A moment later, the floor beneath my feet began to hum. What is happening? I asked plaintively. Much hoper replied. The pommel sergeant pulled me into the chair next to him and buckled me into place. When he was unnecessary viciousness, I remained silent. In the awareness that I was feeling intruding, all the hunters were warmly outfitted, heavily armed and grim-faced. The hum reached a crescendo and a stomach-churning wrench as the room detached from the ice walker and pitched into the air. It was a gyrocopter, masquerading as a ready room. We've left the ice walker behind, I get. What of my master? We'll be back soon, one hunter, or with luck, we shall. There she blows! Pointing at elbow at me. Isn't that what you sing and cheer when you spot a whale? I'm not English, I said. Repetition of commonplace made me a little fearful. One of Monsieur Mizensky's hunters shouted a phrase in Russian, and there was a scramble. A hunter opened up a hatch in the ceiling and clambered up to the man mounted with a harpoon. Another shouted in the direction heading of the whale to the pilot. Have you done this before? Yes, Monsieur Mizensky. Now shut up and stay out of the way. I could see the whale thrashing its tail as it attempted to escape us. There was a hiss of the harpoon edge, a shout of triumph. Our craft shuddered and swung and instruments span wildly. The harpooner had hit the home. The thick rope cable connected us to our quarry. It thrashed in pain, jerking us along with it as the blood darkened with the water. We did it, I shouted triumphantly. The hunters, and if any, looked grimmer than ever, tightening their buckles. Another harpoon hissed. A roar of pain suddenly was not simply flung, but tumbling through the sky. I braced my feet against the chair legs and put my head between their legs, preparing for a crash landing. Monsieur Mizensky was shouting commands at his team of hunters. A scream penetrated the haze of dazedness. I looked up to see one harpoon miss his grip and fall away. Oh, his face, I wish I had not seen it. It burns my memory. His ice-rimmed terror, sharp as sour as my own. I heard Monsieur Mizensky curse and tried to unbuckle his belt, his eyes on the ceiling hatch. He was going to take the harpooner's place at least. I thought instead we can at least see the hatch and threw himself back into the chair. It was now before the creature tire. We must simply wait. I confess I dozed a little after the first 20 minutes of being pitched and right about by the whale's death flurries. Perhaps 2 hours later, when we flew back to the ice walker, dragging the enormous carcass behind us, I barely recall how I found my bed, but found it I did, and deep, almost dreamless sleep besides. We're not moving. You goat-faced idiot, Monsieur Mizensky. I blinked my eyes open. Yep, that's something to leave the hunting to the hunters, he snarled. You could have killed us all. Did we get the whale at least? Of course. No thanks to you, of course. Mr. Kirsten, Filthy String. Don't get any ideas, he added before assuming I still think you're an idiot. I fell back asleep immediately, warmed by the gesture despite his forbidding words. An iceberg I noted was moving once more. Let's keep healing up fog. A set of mechanical pincers emerged from the back of the ice walker, grabbed at the whale's carcass from the water and pulled it into its gaping maw. The artificer told it would proceed process for fuel on our journey over north. I did not wish to subject myself to gruesome sights and sounds that would no doubt ensue, so I took myself off to the meteorological labs in the belly of the ship for the day. Madame Jura took one look at my face and laughed derisively. No stomach for fencing, eh? I nodded tightly, and she laughed again, but she did not throw me out. Keep Fogg happy? As we keep... Monsieur Fogg had managed to find himself a whist partner from amongst the artificers' ranks. It was an arcane talent of his, one I regarded with great suspicion. No good come from my master's being friendly. The fellow in question was a youth of barely 20, handsome enough, in pallid-eyed, stout sort of mode, and apparently some sort of meteorological prodigy. I wished him joy of partnering with my master, and took myself off to turn about the decks, and later a little drink in the illicit still in the cargo hold. Getting closer to North Pole. Ah, there you are, Passepartout, Monsieur Jonkin flashed at me with a bright smile. Would you like to come in the blue with me this afternoon? We need some mediocre readings, but we can make a picnic of it. I declined much disappointment, pleading a headache that proved all too zero. I kept at the endless gleaming vista, white on white. I turned them firmly away from the windows side on my way to dinner. Warm us up the North Pole. Today's the Eiffel pilot threw a cloudberry pie at the Chief Nervous face at lunch. A fine berry. The cloudberry grows on the edges of swamps, and generally the kind of swamp that doesn't advertise where exactly those edges are. It is not uncommon, I am told, for novice cloudberry pickers to lose a boot as they collect, but I digress. I kept my head down out of the artificer's business. It was healthier in that way. Perhaps with these ventures all over the world, were finally knocking some sense into my poor, much abused head. Today, I sat with Monsieur Fogg as he read the old journal on one of the observation decks. That is not your usual ledger, I remarked, attempting to sound casual. No, it is not. He looked at me with quite a moment. It's one of my grandfather's. He was a polar explorer. You admire him. I pretended to be him, captain my ships of cushions and chairs in the nursery. His voice was careful, dry. I am overcome, thinking my master young and tender enough to have such fancies. Relapsed into science, but it was more comfortable and born of familiarity. In an inquisitorial sort of day, I dreamed of Arctic terms flying. I dreamed of Arctic terns flying in a historic formation, their wings flapping in rhythm. I could not decipher. We made progress across the ice, although I do not know how one can tell. Today, I poked my head in navigation to say hello. The pilot was usual in the midst of blazing around with Chief Navigator. Has something happened? We are 2.5 degrees off course again, the Chief Navigator grounded Chief Alderby. This never happens to me. Of course not, the pilot snarled, because you're perfect, aren't you, Camilla? I slipped away while the attention was elsewhere, shaking my head. What is the Artists' Council thinking? Assigning both this expedition. Later at dinner I heard the rumour that the chief navigator had actually broken the pilot's nose. Incorrigible. What a strange expedition this was turning out to be. Disaster has struck. So cold the ice walk has been destroyed. We were stranded upon the ice floe with the bitterest cold I have ever been experienced. I have only a few moments to scribble this entry, so I'll keep it to the most important of facts. We have little hope of rescue with few supplies. It seems certain we will die here. Only not yet. There's too much to do. We're only 76 miles away. I've gained little warmth from my fingers by putting them into compact snow, enough to write. On the ice walk, nobody knows what happened. Disaster struck in the middle of the night. Fear monsters don't matter, and thought choose me. The art of the Spain border explosion, the cascade of reactions, and its pointless debate on the matter is distracting, though heaven knows we need distractions. Monsieur Fogg is severely hurt, his torso had been skewered by a piece of metal debris. I have bandaged up as best I could. He is assiduous and pretending all is well. I have tried my best to pretend also, although I don't know how long it can last. He looks pitifully absurd, covered with a furry Russian hat on his head, for warmth. I can write no more, too cold. Madame Giraud jerked the sky, buggerless strapped on his shoes, and began to water the whatness. I called after her, but she did not look back. I looked around for nice rimmed faces of the other survivors, and wondered how long it would be before no one gave up. She gave up and walked out into the snow. Even now the snow seemed inviting. There was more to it than here. There was a little heap of life. We clung onto the rock to help swim. I looked down at my master's too pale and shivering form. I tried desperately to think how I could help him. I saw the down hot air balloon in the distance. I checked over it. Despite the incredulous look of the expeditions, Monsieur Andrew was waiting for me when I drew near. You survived then? Yes, he said shortly. Miss Nancy had shortly shuts the balloon for supplies, but I hid. She's my balloon after all. Please, my voice deserted me. I did not think then I could have anything else. The artist handed me these few tins. Do not the ever cease. They were curious. Thanked him, then he thanked him again. I knew my mind spoon of congealed broth from my master's mouth. The sky was ablaze when I wrote. Spectator streamers, railroad green, bruise of purple and furious pink. The Aurora Borealis, a nearby artist whispered, in awe. It is magnificent. It seemed to me that the sky itself was giving us hope. Painted in cascading colours across the horizon. It seemed the prospect of death makes me sentimental. I no longer truly remember what it's like to be born. Perhaps I have never truly been so. The memories seem so fragile. They spin away like dust, like snow. There's only ever been this. Cold that's not enough mercy to be numb. Wind that howls like a pack of wolves on the hunt. Once more I sautéed to my master. I asked Monsieur Menzelsky to help me, and offered from the palm of bags. Keep Fogg warm, he said. It will help. Thank you, I whispered. Thank you. He gave me a short nod. I stumbled back to our makeshift camp to tend to my master. I thought of my man today. I smiled, flicking the lamplight as she tucked me into bed. Brushed her lips against my temple. I wonder what she would do, tossing the stark brown eyes to it. She would start to walk in any direction. Her feet would lead. She would find water and try to swim. My man, if by some strange wild chance should you come read this. Do not weep for your son. I've seen so much, I've done so much. I cannot bring myself to regret even this. Think of me with love, as I am thinking of you and now this endless Arctic night. Very good. Monsieur Fogg nearly lost 3 toes to frostbite. I have not been careful enough. I was not conscientious enough. Medic caught in time, and he will not lose him. As for his life, well, let us instead be thankful for toes, while I still had strength. I was determined to provide succour to Monsieur Fogg, but there was nothing else I could do. So I simply sang to him as many soft nursery songs as my mind could recall. It helped not at all. Day 38, and we're not moving. Monsieur Fogg and I had been sleeping and curled against each other since the disaster. I tried desperately to press some warmth into his body. I was so afraid for him. The barriers of propriety are strong, very near unto death, but I no longer dare split lies in the face of death. He is my true friend, and more than a master. I would follow him into the hell's jaw. Sorry. I would follow into him. I can't speak now. I would follow him into hell's very jaws, and indeed I have. Hell has no fire. Hell is cold. If we survive, I will tear these pages out. I will burn them. Burn these very thoughts from my mind. I was satisfied only to see him raise his left eyebrow and comment upon the temperature of the tea. There was a strange black streak across the horizon. I could hear others murmur, "An airship! An airship!" But I do not believe them. I cannot a collective hallucination from people driven beyond hope, beyond reason, beyond hearing. I don't truly believe until I see Madame Giroux standing on the deck. Neither I, she shouts, her voice familiar and mocking. I begin to weep. I'm not even a little bit ashamed. We're saved. So to say what happened then. The injured Monsieur Fogg concluded. We were whisked away by medics. We were wrapped in blankets with brisk efficiency and given steaming cups of broth. I closed myself to everything, content to rest and be warm, but I wrote with touch on my arm. It was Madame Giroux. I was supposed to make sure that expedition did not make it to the North Pole, Madame Giroux, she told me, fingering her copper lily brooch. I adjusted the instruments to push us off course, but it had nothing to do with the wreck. I nodded, believing her. All of which is mute to her as you referred resoundingly. I could not let them die out there, she replied, sounding uncharacteristically chastened. And I applauded that decision, madame. I declared weakly, I cast a glare at the older man. Madame Giroux laughed desultorily. Passepartout, she stiffened. This is my father, Ivor Giroux, semi-representative of the Council of Circumpolar Northern Peoples. Madame Giroux looked out the window and took a breath. We have arrived. Arrived where? I asked. She merely pointed out. A city rose up the pale mist and ice, an alchemical dream of glass and copper bone. Here and possibly lush tangles of trees and shrubs grew under domes of glittering ice, rimed glass. I blinked, not believing my eyes, but a shimmering vision that did not fade. The heart of the city, a vast towering structure, of steam boilers and copper pipes. Welcome to the North Pole, Madame Giroux said, subdued by the sacred city of Quantiskaduk. Right, so we finally reached North Pole. It's day 42. That set us back quite a bit, but I think we shall end the episode here. So thanks for watching. I hope to see you again in the next episode, where we'll continue our journey and hopefully make it around the world in less than 80 days.